Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. How are you, Ms. Childs?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing well.
I just was wanting to give my client your Zoom ID. One
Okay.
second.
Okay, I want to make sure your audio is working, sir. Can you hear me just fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Okay. She should be logging in the waiting room.
Okay, if I can get everybody's video up and running so I can swear everybody in. And is Randall Belt Spencer, is that a witness?
It's co-counsel
Co-counsel.
for the intervener. Mhm.
Okay. And then Mr. Gabriel, I'm going to change your name just so I can keep track of everybody. It's Broderick, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Um,
And then who is Fire Tablet? Is that your
That's Miss Barbara Smith. She might need a little you to help her with her name too.
Okay.
Barbara Smith.
Thank you. Miss Smith, turn your video on. There we
Sorry.
go. No problem.
Okay, great. I think we are ready to go. I'm going to get on the record. Just a couple of things, rules that I go over with everybody before we get on the record. So there's a machine that takes down every single thing that we say. And it's real important that we talk one at a time. So what's going to happen is, Ms. Childs, you filed this action, is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
So Ms. Childs is going to get to go first, Mr. Gabriel. And so she's going to get to call any witnesses that she wants to call. When she gets done asking a witness questions, then she's going to say, Judge, that's all I have, or Judge, I passed this witness. And that means she's done asking questions. And then I'm going to go over to you and allow you to ask any questions that you have of that witness. It may be that you don't have any questions. You may just say, Judge, I want to call myself when it's my turn, and I'll tell you what I want to tell you. But if you have questions, you're allowed to ask questions of that witness. But it's really important that we all talk one at a time, because the machine can't take down two people talking at the same time. That rule also applies, though, when you're being questioned. So Ms. Smith, for example, you may say, oh, I know what she's asking me. And the way we normally talk in everyday life is sometimes we interrupt each other. It's just the way we have conversations. But it's real important in this case that even though you may know what the lawyer's asking about midway through the question, go ahead and let her complete the entire question before you give an answer. That helps the machine take everything down. It also helps the judge follow the testimony as well. So it just helps me as well. So we're going to get on the record here in 1 second, and then we'll get started.
Judge Bell, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Is it fine for me to just like mute my mic until, it's my time to speak?
Yes, sir. That would be fine. Now, if there's an objection, the other thing is objections have to be legal objections. So it can't be objection, Judge, she's lying, or objection, that's not what happened. It's better not to object on something like that. You just make a note of it, and then when it's your turn to testify, you can say, well, Judge, what she said wasn't entirely accurate. Let me tell you my version of it. But if there's an objection like to hearsay or some kind of, that some legal objection, you can certainly unmute and object to a question if you feel the need to do so.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And before I get on the record, Ms. Childs, any exhibits that were emailed into the court that I need to get before we get started, or are there no exhibits?
No exhibits.
Okay, the court's on the record in cause number 18 DCB 251565, the Gabriel and Smith matter. Counsel, if you would please identify yourself and the party that you represent for the record.
Yes, Attorney Stacy Childs and Attorney Randall Belt Spencer here on behalf of the petitioner and intervener, Miss Barbara Smith.
All right, and Mr. Gabriel, if you would please unmute for me for 1 second, and if you would state your name for the record.
Broderick Gabriel.
And Mr. Gabriel, you're representing yourself in this matter, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone that's going to provide testimony today, if you would please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you're going to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes, I do.
I do.
Thank you all. All right, so like I said, since Ms. Childs filed this action, she's going to be allowed to go first. And at this time, Ms. Childs, if you'd like to give a brief opening statement, you may do so.
Thank you, Judge. We're here on our motion and intervention. We have a young child here that has been primarily cared for by grandmother, and we're just trying to get court orders that allow grandmother to be primary conservator, and we would like for dad to be joint managing conservator with a standard possession order. We had a really hard time trying to get in contact with Mr. Gabriel, and we finally got contact with him. You ordered us to mediate with the University of Houston, which we did, but unfortunately, the University of Houston didn't provide an MSA. What they did was she sort of screenshotted the Zoom messages throughout the Zoom. And from that, we created an order. Unfortunately, when we tried to circulate that order amongst the parties, Mr. Gabriel then refused to sign the order. He started kind of backtracking on what was stated in the MSA. And since we didn't have a signed MSA provided by the University of Houston, it was hard for us to get that order entered with the court. So we went into more informal mediations, trying to get Mr. Gabriel to kind of agree to the terms that was set out in that mediation, and we were unsuccessful. We went to try to enter that order without his signature, and the Judge Hepper said yes, but when she realized that signed MSA wasn't on file, she said, I can't really do anything without that MSA. So that's why we're here.
Okay,
to try to get some orders.
All right, Mr. Gabriel, you're allowed to give a brief opening statement as well. If you'd like to do so at this time, you can do that. An opening statement is just basically what you expect the court to hear or what you'd like the court to do. And so if you'd like to give an opening, you can. It's up to you.
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, I've been dealing with this for the past 5-6 years. Not with just Miss Barbara, but also with her daughter, who is now deceased. And I'm sorry to, acknowledge that. But, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm her father, and I would do anything. That's my only child, and I would do anything and everything for her. Like, there's nothing that I wouldn't do for my daughter. And, I mean, it's sad on my part and on everybody else's part that it's taking so long, and we have to go through all this just over, my daughter. So, I mean, that's all I have to say for right now.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel. All right, Ms. Childs, you may call your first witness.
I'd like to call Miss Barbara Smith.
You may proceed.
Miss Smith, could you please state your full name for the court's record?
Barbara Smith.
And did you file a petition and intervention affecting the parent-child relationship on or about May of 2020?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And who was that intervention in regards to? What child?
My granddaughter, Amari Gabriel.
Okay. And how old is she?
She's 4.
And prior to you filing this intervention, were there court orders already in effect?
Say it again.
Prior to you filing this intervention, was there some sort of court order over Amari regarding her parents?
Yes.
Okay. And can you recall who the primary conservator was over Amari prior to you filing the intervention?
And my daughter.
And what's your daughter's
Amelia
name?
Franklin. Amelia Franklin.
Okay. And what prompted you to file this intervention? What happened?
My daughter passed away May the 8th, Mother's Day weekend.
Okay. And again, I apologize for your loss. And at the time that she passed away, Miss Smith, who had possession of Amari at that point?
I did.
Okay. And was Mr. Gabriel promptly notified of Miss Franklin, your daughter's passing, when it happened?
Yes, ma'am, right away. He
Okay.
was.
Okay. And what was his response regarding the affairs of his daughter once Amelia passed away?
I called him and let him know that she had passed. We also asked him, which is my other daughter, did he wanted us to wait until he came to the house to tell her that her mom had passed?
Mm-hmm.
And he stated no. And the next day when I had talked to his mom, he was with his mom. He told me anything that I needed him to do to let him know, but he never came to the funeral. He never spoke with his daughter. And to this day, he haven't spoken to her about her mom.
Okay, that's fine. Another question is, at the time of Amelia's passing, did Broderick come to the home to try to retrieve Amari and get possession of Amari?
I'm going to say it like this, Miss Child. He hadn't seen her within 2 years, and he showed up the end of February of 2020.
So that was about 3 months before she passed away?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, can you explain?
What's the objection, Mr. Gabriel?
Your Honor, before Amelia passed away, me and Amelia had agreed that, like,
Judge, I'm going to have to object because they're as to evade, because I don't hear a legal objection.
Yes, it's sustained. Mr. Gabriel, remember, you're going to get a chance to tell me what you want to tell me. So just make a note of the things that you think you need to point out to me. But that objection is overruled. You may continue, Ms. Childs.
Thank you. So, Ms. Smith, in your previous statement to the court, you said that he came in February of 2020. That was 3 months prior to your daughter passing away?
Yes.
And at that point, did he retrieve possession of Amari? What happened?
He showed up with the police and stuff for the state that he came to get Amari because it was his weekend.
Okay.
And I answered the door and I was like, really, Broderick? It's been 2 years? You know,
Okay.
It's been 2 years since you've been involved in her life and you show up with the police. You know,
Okay.
he could call and talk to her or whatever. But at the time, he didn't know that my daughter was still sick, but she was here at home.
Okay. And I just want to, it is his right to, try to effectuate the court order, even if it's been years. But is it your testimony to the court that prior to him trying to enforce the court order with the police that weekend, he hadn't physically seen Amari in 2 years?
Exactly.
Okay. So back to my original question. At the time that your daughter passed away, did Mr. Broderick try to take possession of Amari at that time?
In June, he did. We had some words toward each other. At first, we was gonna sit down and talk and work it out,
Mhm.
but everything went left.
Well, Miss Smith, I want you to stay on track. You said that your daughter passed away on May 8th of 2020, and then you're saying you guys talked in June. So my question is, at the time Miss Amelia Franklin passed away, what was Mr. Gabriel's response as to his daughter?
None.
Okay, so for a month, he didn't come to try to maintain or get possession access of your granddaughter?
He didn't. No, not at the time. Not until I buried my daughter on the 20th. And like I said, we were supposed to sit and talk it out, what we were just going to do.
Mhm.
But Amari got sick, and her doctor, since COVID had came out, ordered that she do not leave my home.
Okay,
Only to
we
go
can.
for
Okay,
yes.
okay. So in June of 2020, did Mr. Gabriel try to get possession and access of Amari at that time? And you could just keep it at yes or no until I ask you to explain. Yeah. Okay. Was he allowed to see Amari at that time?
Yes, I hadn't stopped him from seeing her or anything. I invited him to the funeral and everything because it was so many guests I can have. And I invited him to the funeral and everything, but he didn't show for his daughter at all.
Okay, so let's just continue on with the case. So you already explained to the court that you filed an intervention in May of 2020. Did you attend a mediation to try to get some sort of possession access schedule with Mr. Gabriel?
Yes.
And at that mediation, did we reach an agreement?
No.
We did not reach an agreement in mediation?
Yes, we reached an agreement. I thought you was talking about signing off on it and stuff.
No, I'm just asking, did we reach an
agreement on things? Yes.
Okay, and in that agreement, did Mr. Gabriel agree to 4 supervised visits with Amari to kind of get her acclimated to being around him again?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, after that agreement, Mr. Gabriel was supposed to exercise a standard possession order?
Yes.
After those 4 supervised visits were done?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did Mr. Gabriel agree to those terms at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And just so the court can have more understanding, do you remember why you asked for Amari to have 4 supervised visits with her dad prior to the standard possession order starting?
Because she doesn't know him. She know he's her father, because we never let her not know that Broderick is her dad. And she doesn't really know him. She knows to go to him and stuff, but she haven't been around him.
Okay. And after that agreement was reached, did Mr. Gabriel exercise his 4 supervised visits? Just yes or no. Did he do the 4 of them? I mean, if he did 1 or 2 or 3, just did he exercise? How many?
I'm gonna say 3.5.
You said 3.5?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. What do you mean by 3.5?
Because each visit was supposed to be in at least 4 hours.
Right. Okay.
And one of them, he came and stayed just 1 hour. He said his pipes or something at home was bust. And then he said his wife and her kids had plans for him that day. But I found out different that they was on LK somewhere.
Okay. And during that mediation, did we agree to specific weekends in which he would exercise those supervised visits?
It was like every other weekend.
Okay. And did those
1 out of each month? It took him till May to do it.
Okay. Yeah, that was my next question. Did the dates change?
Yes, it took him. He did 1 visit once a month.
Okay. And is it your understanding that the standard possession order for Amari was not to start until he completed the 4 supervised visits for 4 hours?
Correct.
All right. And as part of that agreement, did you and Mr. Gabriel agree that he would pay child support of $350 per month to you?
Yes.
Okay, did you receive that?
No.
Had you received any of those $350 per month payments that you guys agreed to in mediation?
No.
Okay, so back to Amari. Does Amari have any health conditions?
Yes.
Can you explain to the court what those conditions are?
Mari was born with severe club feet. She, ever since she's been born, she's been in casts, either braces. Right now, she's in braces. She has to go to Galveston, but have her feet assessed by her doctor, and she do a lot of testing and she just had a MRI did on her spine and back for her legs and stuff. So she will continue to be in braces. And yes, they're trying to not have surgery on her.
Right. Okay. And you said she's been having these club feet. She's been having numerous doctor's visits.
Oh, yes.
And are you the person that takes her to these doctor's visits?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And prior to your daughter passing away, did your granddaughter live with you since she was born?
Yes.
So you've been caring for her throughout her entire life, even before your daughter passed away?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, do you know how many times Broderick has seen Amari?
For what period of time?
Throughout her entire life.
Well, when her first year she was born, he was right there the first year. Okay. And as we start going into the second year, him and my daughter got in dispute over her coming with him and stuff. And that's when they decided to go to do visitation and stuff, get started out. And he started that, but it only lasted 3 months because his mom used to come pick Amari up because he was at work.
Okay.
And he would pick her up for that weekend. But that stopped also until that stopped in 2018. Okay.
And I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I thought you were done. I apologize for cutting you off. And since Amelia has passed away, have you and Broderick at least tried to co-parent without the court's intervention? Have you guys tried to co-parent Amari?
No.
Okay. Have you tried to call and talk to him about being a parent to Amari?
When he did his supervised visit, I tried to talk to Broderick and let him know he's the only parent she have left. Step up and be a dad. I know you say you are raising 3 queens in Galveston, which is your wife's kids, but you have a daughter. Mm-hmm. That's what I was trying to get him to understand. But it was to no avail. It still was like, no. And in that time frame, when he did start doing his visit in February, he only called her once directly.
Okay. Now, during the times that you and Broderick have talked, what has the communication been like?
It was, at first it was nice. And I guess me talking and answering him or saying certain things to him, he didn't appreciate it. And I think he told you I was messing up, intervening with him visiting his daughter. So I just stepped back.
Okay.
And another thing, when he went to come get her for to start his visit after the full visitation, I told him no, because he hadn't signed the papers or whatever and stuff. So he said he was tired and I just have my lawyer draw up some paper so he can sign over his right.
Okay. And is it fair to say that he might have said that just because he was angry at the time?
Maybe so, probably so. But that's not the first time he's ever said it.
Okay. So today, Are you asking the court to name you the primary conservator over your granddaughter?
Yes,
And are you asking for that because you believe that it is in the child's best interest?
yes,
And are you asking that so that she can maintain her schedule with her doctors and because you know the most about her compromised health?
yes,
And are you asking that so that she can continue to be have a routine?
yes,
Are you also asking that the court name Mr. Gabriel joint managing conservator of Amari, or continue to be named a joint managing conservator of Amari?
yes, because he's her father. I want him in her life.
Okay. And are you asking that the court maintain Broderick having a standard possession order of Amari?
Yes,
Okay. And are you asking that the court intervene so that you two can co-parent in a better way going forward?
yes,
Okay. And Ms. Smith, do you think that this could have been resolved last year?
yes.
Okay.
It went left.
Okay. Do you recall about how many informal discussions we've had or informal mediations we've had to try to get to this resolution?
Oh, that it was a lot.
Okay.
It was a lot.
By a lot, could you estimate a number?
From beginning, from May all the way up until this year now, I'm gonna say I believe over 12. Maybe
Okay.
more.
Okay, and about how much have you spent in attorney's fees trying to get this intervention finalized?
About 6,000, around about 6,000 or more.
Okay, and just so that the court can be clear, we reached a mediated settlement agreement in May, correct?
Yes,
And those attorney's fees would have stopped had we completed the order based on that mediated settlement agreement, correct?
correct.
So from the time we had an agreement until now, how much in attorney's fees have you spent?
But this round,
Yes.
3,500, no, 600 and something.
Okay. Are you trying to alienate Amari from her dad?
Oh, never.
Okay, I'll pass this witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Gabriel, do you have any questions of this witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
All right, you may ask your questions.
Okay, Miss Barbara, when Amelia did pass away, you called me the day after Amelia passed.
No,
No,
darling.
not you. Karen called me the day.
I'm gonna object as to argumentative and as to compound question.
Sustained. All right, so here's the thing, and we're both talking at one time too, so that I can't follow and neither can the machine. Mr. Gabriel, just ask a question and then wait for her to give a response. Even though you may disagree with her response, that's okay. Just ask the question, let her respond.
I would like to I'm sorry, Judge. I would just like to get some clarification for the court. Mr. Gabriel said that he was representing himself pro se, and the person in the screen hasn't entered an appearance in this trial. So I saw her mouth moving or speaking. I don't know.
Mr. Gabriel, is that a witness that you have, or is that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is my wife. She's been dealing with this from the beginning.
And
okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. So she's not sworn in yet, so she can't talk yet until you call her. If you're going to call her,
I told her that.
Hold on just a second. She can't talk yet until it's your turn to put on your witnesses, and then at that point, if you want to call her, I'll swear her in, and she can say some stuff if she'd like to as well. But Mr. Gabriel, it's now your chance to ask questions of Ms. Smith, but make sure you ask one question at a time. And don't argue with her. Just ask the question and let her answer. And then you can, like I said, when you testify, you can tell me what you think was inaccurate. All right,
Okay.
Mr. Gabriel, let's try this again. You may proceed.
Okay, Your Honor, I don't have any questions. I'll just wait for my time to testify.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gabriel. All right, Ms. Childs, anything further with this witness?
No, Judge.
All right, Ms. Childs, you may call your next witness.
I like to call myself, Judge.
You may testify from the narrative, and you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. My name is Stacy Childs. I'm accompanied with Attorney Randall Belt Spencer. We were hired to pursue this intervention on behalf of Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith has spent about $6,500 in attorney's fees. We're both licensed in the state of Texas. 95% of our practice is in family law. We primarily practice in the counties of Harris County and Fort Bend at a rate of $250 per hour. We have experience in trials and modifications and interventions, and we believe that the fees that Ms. Smith has incurred as a result of this intervention were reasonable and necessary to pursue this on her behalf. If we would have heard, there were about $3,600 in attorney's fees that she incurred after we all reached an agreement, and we tried to get that order signed, but we were unsuccessful because there was some backtracking on behalf of Mr. Gabriel. So we'd like to request that Mr. Gabriel be ordered to pay $3,600 in attorney's fees as a result of basically doing this all over again and pursuing this trial, because we believe that this is something that could have been avoided.
All right, thank you, Ms. Childs. Mr. Gabriel, do you have any questions of this witness? All right, he's shaking, just for the record, he's shaking his head no. He's muted on Zoom, but the court's going to acknowledge that he does not have any questions of Ms. Childs. Ms. Childs, any other witnesses that you'd like to call in your case?
No, Judge.
Petitioner arrest?
Yes, Judge. Yes.
Mr. Gabriel, it's now your opportunity to tell me anything that you would like to tell me. If you'd like to call yourself as a witness, if you have other witnesses that you would like to question, you can call them as well. But Mr. Gabriel,
well, I would like to first start. I would like to first start and testify for myself.
Okay, here's how we're going to do this. We're going to do it similar to what I just allowed Ms. Childs to do, and that means you're going to just tell me what you want to tell me. You don't have to ask yourself questions. So just tell your story and tell me what you want to tell me. If you hear an objection, though, from Ms. Childs, stop talking. Don't try to finish your sentence. Let me rule on the objection, and then I may say, Mr. Gabriel, you can continue telling me what you were going to tell me. Or I may say, hey, let's stay off of that topic. Let's move to a new topic. But let me rule on the objection if you hear her object. All right, Mr. Gabriel, you may proceed.
Yes, sir. Well, basically, this all started way before me and my wife even got together. Like, basically, me and Amelia, me and the defendant's daughter, we were in a relationship for 2 years before our daughter even came into the picture. And like, basically, she's saying, like, basically after my daughter was born, I was staying with my mother and she was staying with her. So basically, her daughter was older than me. Her daughter was 6 years older than me. I'm 33. So basically, like, at the time, I told her, me and her, we could have moved into our own apartment. We could have had our own spot and raised us a family. She didn't want to do that. She wanted to continue to stay with her mother because she said her mother and her dad needed help with their bills and stuff in their house. So I agreed to just go along and co-parent from each one of our houses. Okay. As time went on, me and the defendant's daughter, we started to have problems in our relationship. So we decided to separate. We decided to split up. We know we had a daughter in the situation. I told her I was going to do everything in my best interest to try to provide for my daughter whatever she needed. I told her I was going to start giving her money. She said that was fine. It was okay. Done deal. I got into a relationship. Once I got into another relationship, excuse my language, but my life went to hell. Like, basically, Miss Barbara, she sent messages to me and my wife on Facebook saying I wasn't going to never see my daughter again. Now that I'm with her.
Because that assumes facts not in evidence.
Overruled. You may continue, Mr. Gabriel.
I have the proof in my phone. Amelia was calling. Amelia even went to the point to where she put a post on Instagram slandering my name, saying that I had a STD, which I don't have. After I got into the relationship with my wife. Moving forward in my life, once me and my wife got married, I decided that Houston wasn't the place for me because I was going to get into a lot of trouble out there. So I decided to move and better my life to the city of Beaumont, which is where I stay now. I moved to Beaumont, got a job. I reached out to Amelia numerous times. She always told me I wasn't going to see Amari. She even told me the reason why I wasn't seeing Amari was because I was with somebody else. She told me that she didn't like my wife. She didn't like my girlfriend at the time. And I wasn't going to be, my daughter wasn't going to be around my girlfriend. So basically, I only could go see her on the weekends when my mom picked her up and brought her to her house. Basically, me and my girlfriend were renting an apartment, and I had to leave the apartment where I was paying rent at to go to my mom's house on the weekend to spend time with my daughter, just because Amelia and her mother didn't like my girlfriend. Basically, Miss Barbara is going off of everything she see on Facebook. She's like, basically, when I was doing my visits, she would sit in the living room and tell me, be a father to your child. Be a father to your child. I stay in Beaumont. That's 109 miles away. How can I be a father to my child if I stay 109 miles away? And
hold on, ma'am, you can't talk. He's talking right now. So just
Yes,
hold
sir.
on. You may continue, Mr. Gabriel.
so basically, like I tried, and when we went into the mediation, everything was basically the way it was in my child support order with Amelia. And with that child support order, I did everything to the T. I paid on time. I made sure I did my visits every weekend. It even got to the point to where after Amelia passed, they sent me money back because I paid too much child support to her. So basically, now they're telling me that I'm not doing anything because Amelia's gone. No, the reason why I'm not doing anything is because people are telling me to raise my child, be in my child's life, but at the same time, they're not letting my child come to the house that I'm renting for her. I have a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home. I have 2 businesses. Me and my wife are licensed daycare providers. I am licensed to have 10 kids in my care for 12 hours a day. But I can't watch my own child. I am a mobile notary. I have 2 businesses. I have a 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom. The only reason why I couldn't make it to Houston back then was because I didn't have the finances and I didn't have the transportation to make it back and forth to Houston from Beaumont. That's the only reason. I tried to tell Ms. Barbara that, but Ms. Barbara told me she constantly, and every time I went to Ms. Barbara's house, she brought back her past on how her stepmom treated her bad, and was telling me that she didn't want my wife to treat my daughter the way her stepmom treated her. My wife loves my daughter. If my wife goes to the store and buy anything for her children, she buys double for my daughter because she know my daughter doesn't have a mother. Everybody thinks my wife is out to get Amelia and the Franklin family. My wife loves Amari just as much as I do. It takes a village to raise a child, not just 1 or 2 or 3 per people. The only people that Amari is staying with is her grandmother, her grandfather, and her auntie. Out here, I have nieces, nephews that she can interact with. I have a daycare center with 12 kids that she can interact with. All of them are her age. My daycare ranges from 1 to 6. My daughter's going on 5. The only time I actually spent time with my daughter was her first year on this earth. Every time I try to go get her, it's a problem. I can't take her nowhere. I can't go anywhere. I gotta stay within the confines of their home. I can't even pick my daughter up and take her to the park because they tell me my daughter doesn't know me. How can my daughter know me if she's only seeing me 4 times, 4 hours, 1 day out of the weekend? I try to call, no answer. Every time I try to call them, they don't answer the phone or Amari's not around. Whenever I did my 4 supervised visits. I did 2 in February, I did 1 in March, and I did 1 in April. The reason why I did 2 in February is because we had a bad ice storm in Beaumont, and they closed off the roads for 2 weeks. That was at the end of the month. I could not move. Nobody in Beaumont could not move. So basically, I tried to move. I tried to go see her in March. I seen her in March. I had 2 family members that passed away. Every weekend I tried to go see Amari, they had a funeral. I was not going to let my family members down because these people were close to me. So I went to the funerals. The last visitation I did, I went, and then the June 1st, I called Miss Barbara and told her I was getting ready to head to Houston to come get Amari. Miss Barbara said I couldn't come get Amari because I didn't sign off on the order. Basically, the order that they sent me, I had to pay Miss Barbara child support, and I was only going to get Amari the second and the 4th weekend out of the month. That's wrong in me, because in the child support order I had against her mother, I had her the 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekend of every month. So basically, that shortened my time with my daughter, and I'm the only parent that she has. I'm blessed to have both of my parents, and I want to see my daughter is not. So basically, it hurts me in my heart that my daughter's in Houston. She knows her father, and she knows she has a father, but she can't get to him. And every time I see her, my daughter gives me the world. Like, she runs to me. She is so happy, but she can't reap none of the benefits that I'm gaining in Beaumont if they're not letting her come to me. Miss Barbara, every time Miss Barbara talks to me, she tells me, be a father, be a father, be a father.
I'm going to object as to narrative.
Sustained as to asked and answered. So, Mr. Gabriel, I'll get it the first time you say it. I heard that you said that she tells you that. So you may continue, but let's move to a new topic.
It's just like, I don't understand, what am I doing wrong? I mean, everything that I do is for my daughter. I have a family.
If you can, Mr. Gabriel, also tell me what you'd like to see the court do today.
Today, I want visitation. I want joint custody of my daughter. I understand that she has to go to the doctor and she has to go to Galveston. I understand that. I don't want to take Amari from Miss Barbara. I know Miss Barbara plays a big a big part in Amari's life. That's her grandmother. She's been staying with her all her life. I just want my time in my home with her. Like, I understand that she's saying that Amari don't know me. Amari can get to know me in my home. That's the only way she's going to get to know me, because this is my element. This is where I'm comfortable at. If I go to your house, I'm just sitting in the living room all tensed up, not knowing who will walk through the front door. People passing by me, not speaking to me because of the bad blood that I had with Amelia. So basically, I just want joint custody. I mean, I don't want full custody, because I know Amari needs her grandmother. Like I said, it takes a village. But at the same time, you need the chief of the princess to be there to raise her.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel. Anything further or let me ask, Mr. Gabriel, do you have anything further you'd like to add? Or
no, sir.
Okay, Ms. Childs, any questions of this witness?
Yes, I have a few questions, Judge.
All right, you may proceed.
Mr. Gabriel, do you remember?
I'm sorry, Ms. Childs, give me 1 second. We're going to go off the record for 1 second. I have a gentleman that got off of work to come down here to do an uncontested divorce case, and I want to get him back to work because it'll just take me 1 minute. So we're going to go off
no problem.
for 1 second. Why don't y'all come on up, please? Right up here so I can see you. If you would please each raise your right hand for me to be sworn to. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, Ms. Alanis, you are the petitioner in this case. If you would please state your name. And are you presently married to Samuel Morales? Did you live in Texas for 6 months before you filed this petition? Did you live in Fort Bend County for 90 days before you filed this petition? Has your marriage to Mr. Morales become so bad the two of you can't live together as husband and wife? Okay, is there a chance that y'all could if I don't grant the divorce? Were there any children born or adopted during the marriage? Are you presently, did you have any children with any other man during the marriage? Are you presently expecting a child? On your decree, you don't list any property. Do y'all have any property? No cars that y'all bought while y'all were married? Okay, because it's important to put that down so that it just clears the title up. So if you have a car that you bought while y'all were married, even though it's in one of your names, it's wise to put it in your divorce decree. But if you don't have anything, I'm just going to put none. Okay. So you're basically just asking that you keep what's in your possession, you keep what, he keeps what's in his possession? And you think that's fair to both of y'all? And Ms. Alanis, you're asking me to grant the divorce today? Do either of you have any retirement? No? And Ms. Alanis, approximately when did y'all separate? So February of 2019? And you're not asking for a name change? Okay. All right, Mr. Morales, if I were to ask you all the same questions I just asked your wife, would your answers be the same or similar? And are you telling me that you want me to grant a divorce today and approve the agreements that y'all reached? All right, the court's heard your testimony and I'm granting the divorce. I have signed your final decree of divorce. Since y'all are down here anyways, you might want to just go out these doors to the right to the district clerk's office and you can get a certified copy of this order there. Okay, best of luck to both of you. Thank y'all for coming in today. Okay, we're back on the record. And we're going to pick up where we left off. We were on the cross-examination of the respondent by Ms. Childs. Ms. Childs, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Gabriel, do you remember us attending mediation in February?
Yeah.
Do you remember us agreeing that you complete 4 supervised visits for 4 hours prior to your visitation of Amari overnight would start?
Yes.
Do you remember us explaining why we asked for the supervised visits first?
For Amari to get to know her father.
Okay. And you remember agreeing to those terms in February, yes?
Yes, and I didn't.
Okay. Do you remember asking for the 2nd and 4th weekends because of your work schedule?
No.
Okay. Do you remember agreeing to pay Miss Smith $350 in child support during that mediation?
Yes, but to my knowledge,
Objection, non-responsive after yes.
Sustained after yes.
Have you paid her any of the child support you agreed to since February?
no.
Okay. Did you do 4 supervised visits with Amari for 4 hours like you agreed to?
Yes.
Okay. You completed 4 supervised visits for 4 hours each time.
Yes.
Would it surprise you that on your 3rd or 4th visit, we have knowledge that you only stayed for 30 or 45 minutes?
That's a lie.
Yes or no, Mr. Gabriel?
No.
Okay. And when we sent you the order based on the mediated settlement agreement, did you sign it?
No.
Why didn't you sign it, Mr. Gabriel, if you agreed to it?
Because I told y'all in the mediation that I wanted the 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekend. You telling me that I said the 2nd and the 4th. I know I didn't say the 2nd and the 4th because why would I change my visitation that
Objection,
I had with
non-responsive.
Barbara?
Hold on, I think he's responding. So overruled.
Okay.
Sir, did you finish your answer that you didn't sign it because?
No, sir. Can I restart it again?
Well, I heard you say that you didn't sign it because you didn't agree with 2nd and 4th, that you thought you should have.
Yes,
first,
sir.
third.
Because I said that I wanted to have the 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekend like I had with Amelia, the same as Barbara.
Okay. Okay, but then Miss Smith, put your phone on mute, please.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Gabriel, in your previous testimony, you just said that you agreed to the second and fourth weekends, correct? Or did you say no? Okay, no, you didn't. All right. So would it surprise you if I showed you our commentary on that mediation where you agreed to the second and fourth weekends?
If you have that, I didn't say it because I know I said the first, third, and fifth weekend. Like I had.
Okay. And at the time, after the mediation, after I sent you the order, about how many times did you and I have informal mediations to try to get this done?
I mean, you called me 2 or 3 times. But I told you every time you called me that I wasn't
Objection
going.
not responsive after 2 or 3 times.
Sustained.
And about how many times did I even include your family member to try to get to an agreement? Your wife to try to get to an agreement?
Like what, once or twice?
Okay, so in total about 4 or 5 times of informal mediations after we already went to mediation, correct?
After y'all changed the court order, yes.
Okay, so in total, are you telling the court that we've had at least 6 mediations and negotiations regarding this intervention? Yes or no?
But
yes
no.
or no? Okay.
No.
How many then?
Like 3 or 4. Like I called you twice and then you tried to reach out to my wife twice. And me and my wife told you that we wasn't signing it because of the weekends that I was getting. I remember we both telling you that because she told you through an email or over the phone, and I told you over the phone too.
Okay. Do you remember us having discussions about the method in which you were supposed to pay child support?
No.
Okay. Do you remember saying that you did not want your child support to be paid through the Office of the Attorney General?
Yes, I said I wanted to pay it directly to Ms. Barbara after I did my 4 visits.
And even when we changed that, you still wouldn't sign the order, correct?
No.
Okay. So are you asking the court that you get a standard possession order and that Ms. Smith remain the primary conservator over Amari?
No. I'm asking for joint custody from the court.
Okay, let me rephrase my question.
And Ms. Barbara is going to be basically like her mother.
We can strike that. I'll rephrase the question for you, Mr. Gabriel. I apologize if I was confusing. Are you asking that the court name you and Ms. Smith joint managing conservators over Amari?
Yes.
Are you asking the court grant you a standard possession order over Amari?
Yes.
Okay. And this is what we agreed to in mediation, correct?
No, this is not. We agreed to having.
Objection non-responsive after no, it's not.
Sustained after no, it's not. Just to answer the question that's asked, Mr. Gabriel.
And are you, if the judge grants this joint managing conservatorship with Ms. Smith as the primary conservator, are you willing to pay child support for your daughter?
No, because I could raise her on my own.
But like,
why would I pay her to basically do half of the work that I'm doing? I mean, I understand that she's been with her for 4 years, but for the rest of her life, I plan on her spending some time, well, basically majority of her life with me. Like, I'm not understanding what y'all understanding. Like, I'm her father. And her mother has passed. So why shouldn't I have custody of my daughter?
We can move on. So Mr. Gabriel, just so I can be clear, prior to Amelia passing away, you guys had joint conservatorship over Amari, correct?
Yes, Amari was coming to me.
Objection not responsive after yes.
Sustained after yes.
And were you ordered to pay child support to Amelia when under that order?
Yes, for a year, but that was an old
Objection
order.
not responsive after yes.
Sustained.
So if you're saying you want Ms. Smith to step in the shoes of Amelia, why would the child support situation change, Mr. Gabriel?
Because Amelia put me on child support out of anger and spite. She didn't put me on child support to take care of Amari. She put me on child support because I got married and I got into a relationship.
Okay.
That's why she put me on top.
Could it have been to help care for your daughter?
No, because according to
Objection,
her and her
responsible.
messages,
No.
Sustained after no.
And just to get clear, in February, when we went to this mediation, you agreed to pay $350 a month in child support. Yes or no?
yes, just to get my daughter.
But you didn't do it. But you didn't do it, correct?
I had to pay a tax to get my daughter. No, because y'all didn't do what y'all was supposed to do. I did my 4 visits and I still didn't get her. So why should I pay her $350 a month and she's still not keeping up on her end of the bargain and giving me my child and let her come to my house? That's the question that I'm asking you.
But you didn't sign the order, so it was not an order of the court, correct?
It shouldn't even have to come to an order if we grown people and that's my child.
I agree.
So
But I'm asking you.
That's on your client's end, not mine. I don't have an attorney. I'm representing myself.
Objection, argumentative.
Mr. Gabriel, hold on, Mr. Gabriel. Take a breath. I know this is an emotional case and the court understands that, but we're starting to go too fast and people are talking over each other. It's turning kind of into an argument and I don't want that because it's harder for me to follow the testimony and I want to make sure I make a wise decision for Amari. So we'll wait for Ms. Childs to finish her question before you give your answer. All right, Ms. Childs, you may continue.
We're going to move on, Judge. Where do you say you have 2 businesses. About how much do you make per month?
Excuse me?
I don't know right now.
Your previous testimony to the court was that you have 2 businesses, one which is a daycare where you have at least 12 or so children in your daycare. So I'm asking about how much do you make per month?
I don't do the financials of the businesses. My wife handles the financials. I just handle the business part of it.
Do you know how much you guys earn in revenue a month?
My wife knows everything. If you want to talk to somebody about my revenue and my income, talk to my wife. We are a team.
So you don't know the answer, sir?
And she handles the financials.
Hold on. So, sir, you don't know the answers. Is that your answer that your wife does, but you don't?
Yes, sir. I don't. My wife handles all our financial business.
Okay, that's no problem. Did you file taxes for the year 2020?
Yes.
Okay, and what was your gross annual income from 2020?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
I want to remind you that you're under oath, Mr. Gabriel. So I'm going to ask again.
I am being honest. I have so much going on with
Mr. Gabriel, I'm not arguing with you. Listen.
I'm not arguing either. I'm just telling the truth.
I'm just asking questions.
Objection.
I'm not badgering you. I asked you once.
She's just asking a question. She just
and Your Honor, I'm answering her. She asked me what's my gross income of my 2020 income tax. I don't remember. It's August.
That's fine. If you don't remember, that's next question.
And she's constantly going on like I'm lying to her.
May I continue, Judge?
Ms. Childs, you may continue.
How much money is in your bank account right now, Mr. Gabriel?
What, $275?
Okay. How much do you keep in your bank account monthly on average, if you had to just give an estimate to the court?
400.
Okay. So what did you base the $300 a month that you agreed to on? Because you just testified that you don't know any of your financials. So what did you base the $350 on? Did you feel comfortable paying that in February? Was that like a comfortable number for you?
I mean, y'all threw the $350 up.
And you said that you agreed. So what I'm asking is, did you agree because that was a number that you felt comfortable with?
I mean, I guess because that was the number that y'all came up with.
Okay, understood. And lastly, you spoke a little bit about, words being exchanged on social media, correct?
Yes.
During this litigation, have you shared any words about Mrs. Smith and her legal counsel on social media?
No.
Okay, I'll pass this witness, Judge.
Mr. Gabriel, anything further that you would like to tell the court after Ms. Child's questions?
I would like to call my witness, my wife,
okay,
Veronica Gabriel.
All right, ma'am, if you would, Ms. Gabriel, if you would please raise your right hand to be sworn. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you're going to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right, so the same, you can put your hand down, ma'am. I'm going to give you the same instructions that I gave the other witnesses, and that is, there's a machine taking down everything that I say or that you say or that Mr. Gabriel says. And it's real important that when he asks you questions here in a minute, and when Ms. Childs asks you questions, to just slow everything down, make sure they complete their question completely before you
Yes.
start giving your answer. All right,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gabriel, is he?
I'm sorry. We're currently working, so he had to go check on the children. We have our assistant here helping us, but honey, they need you here before I
That's
can start.
okay. You can take care of the child.
Okay.
If we need to take a 2-minute break, we can do that. All right, there we
Yes,
go.
can we?
Yeah, why don't we do this, well, I want to finish before lunch because I may have a
Yes,
protected
for
this
sure.
afternoon. And so we'll just do a 4-minute break. We'll resume at 11:30, but we got a 4-minute break. If y'all need to get water, go to the restroom, you can do so.
Thank you, Judge.
We're off the record.
Eat their ass up. I'm about to.
I ate her ass up with that dumb shit. She trying to come at me sideways.
Don't even worry about it. I'm
Okay, I think we are just missing Mr. Gabriel, and then we'll get started. All right, the court's back on the record in cause number 18 DCV 251565. We're on the respondent's case in chief, and Mr. Gabriel just called his wife as a witness. And ma'am, I didn't get your name for the record. So if you would please state your name for the record.
Veronica Gabriel.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gabriel. All right, Mr. Gabriel, this is going to be done a little bit differently. This is your witness, so you're going to have to ask questions, and then she'll answer your questions. So she can't just talk like you did and Ms. Childs did. You'll need to ask her questions. You may proceed when you're ready.
Okay, Ms. Gabriel, when we decided to go get Amari, okay, I'm starting again. Okay, so when me and you first got together and I told you that I had a daughter, did you receive any messages from Miss Smith or Miss Franklin?
Object as to relevance.
It's building, it's character.
No, hold on. What's the relevance, Mr. Gabriel?
To Miss Barbara and
Hold on. No. Miss Ma'am, you can't give him advice. You're a witness now, so you can't talk to him unless it's to answer a question. That's just the rules of court, and we got to make sure we follow our rules. But Mr. Gabriel, there's an objection as to the relevance of that question about the text messages. What's the relevance of them?
My character. Like they're questioning my character.
Well, I'm not questioning his
Well,
character. Judge. This is
I can tell you, Mr. Gabriel, that your character is not at issue with the court. I don't see that there's been anything that says you are a bad character. So if you're worried about that, don't worry about that, because that's not where the judge is coming from. So let's objection to relevance is sustained. Next question.
Okay. So basically, I don't know what questions to ask because it's so many that I just want her to tell her experience of what she's been through by my side. Like she's been here with me. Like basically, there's no question that I want to ask her. It's just I want her to tell her side of what we've been going through. Like because she's been there.
But just ask her that kind of question.
Like okay, so basically, when me and you first got together. Mm-hmm. And I told you that I had a daughter.
Objection, ask and answer. Judge.
Overruled. You may continue, Mr. Gabriel.
Okay, so basically, when me and you got together, and I told you that Amari was my daughter, and I don't know how to word my questions. Like basically, all I do is just talk. I don't ask questions.
All right, well, you can ask her. You can just ask her what she thinks of your daughter and that kind of stuff. But
how would you explain the scenario between Miss Barbara and me on Amari's instance?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained, and I don't think she has any direct knowledge of that. Her information would either come from Mr. Gabriel or from Miss Smith. So,
sir, is there any way that I could explain the situation from
No, ma'am. We have to follow the rules of court, and it wouldn't be one thing about a judge is I got to make sure I'm fair to both sides, and both sides have to follow the rules. So Mr. Gabriel has to ask questions in order for you to be able to talk.
Okay, Ms. Gabriel. Well, how did your first interaction turn out with Miss Barbara and Miss Franklin?
Objection as to relevance.
Overruled. You can answer that, ma'am.
With my first interaction with them, it was threats and being bashed on social media and receiving inboxes. Once Broderick changed his relationship status on Facebook, and Amelia found out that Broderick was not living with his mom, and in fact, we had an apartment together. That's whenever the inboxes and reaching out to me and Broderick occurred. With him not being able to see his daughter because of me, and
objection, now responsible.
Tagging me in the post saying that me and him.
Hold on, wait, Miss Gabriel, wait for the next question. Objection.
Okay.
You may ask your next question, Mr. Gabriel.
Okay, during my fourth super, when we were doing the mediation, I was supposed to do 4 supervised visits. Did I do my 4 supervised visits?
Yes. He did his 4 supervised visits, and I
Objection,
know
non-responsive after
I
yes.
brought him to the
Just sustained after yes. Ms. Gabriel, if you hear Ms. Childs object, please stop talking. But I heard that you said he did his 4 supervised visits. Next question, Mr. Gabriel.
Okay, after I did my 4 supervised visits, did me and you go to reach out to Miss Barber to try to get Amari to come here?
yes. We did reach out to Miss
Objection,
Barber.
non-responsive after yes.
Sustained after yes.
You just go.
Okay.
Did she just go to shut a door, Mr.?
I'm finished with my questions, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Childs, your witness. Ms. Gabriel, come back on the screen so Ms. Childs can ask a question. All
About the questions that I'm asking.
You're not asking the questions at all.
right, Ms. Childs, do you have any questions of this witness?
I just have a few questions, Judge.
Okay, you may proceed.
Can you state your full name for the court's record, ma'am? I didn't get it.
Veronica Lynn Gabriel.
Oh, Veronica Gabriel, okay. And Miss Gabriel, do you remember us reaching in, your husband reaching an agreement in mediation?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you remember me sending an order to your husband that purported to that mediated settlement agreement?
I remember seeing the order.
Just yes or no?
Then you're saying that the order was about the agreement, so I have to say no because the order didn't state anything that we spoke about in the agreement. So no.
Okay. And do you remember us having quite a few informal mediations to try to get the order to each party's liking?
Yes.
Okay. About how many of those would you say that we had?
4.
Okay. So in total, we had about 5 formal and informal mediations and no order was signed by your husband, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And do you remember court being set a few months ago to try to enter that order?
No.
Okay. Would it surprise you that there was court a few months ago to try to enter that order?
Yes, that would surprise me because we didn't know about court.
Okay. And you realize that this could have, well, in your opinion, could this have been settled months ago?
Yes, it could have been settled months and years ago, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
And can I ask you questions too?
Well, you answered the question. You answered the question. Yeah, I
was just wondering if I was able to ask you any questions too.
No, ma'am.
I'm not on this.
You just get to answer them.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And is it your desire that while if Ms. Smith is granted a primary conservatorship and Mr. Gabriel is granted joint managing conservatorship, that you will assist with the care of Amari on his weekends of visitation? I'm just asking if the court grants.
I will assist, but I don't think he should just get weekends with his daughter being the only parent. I think with joint custody, she should be.
Object as non-responsive after yes, I will assist.
Sustained.
Okay.
All right.
I have daycare pickup.
I'm not done with my questioning, Judge.
Okay. I have daycare pickup starting at 12.
Ms. Gabriel, hold on. Wait for the next question before you start answering. Objection to non-responsiveness is sustained. Ms. Childs, next question.
Thank you. Ma'am, you say you remember us going to mediation, the very first out of about 5 mediations. You remember us going in February. Do you remember your husband agreeing to pay child support of $350 a month?
No.
Okay. And it was your husband's prior testimony that you were the one who is the custodian of the financial records.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So about how much money do you all bring in per month?
It's depending. Like now at the beginning of school, the business is better during school time than summer. So we probably make about after expenses, $3,500 a month.
Okay. And do you remember what you guys' gross annual income was for 2020?
It was like 15,000. That was before taxes and everything. How much we earned for the year? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
10. About 10,000.
Okay, I just want to be clear. You said you guys make give or take about 3,500 a month, but
Well,
you guys
that's after expenses. See, with my
Right.
bid, we make, okay, let's say 5,000, but 2,000 of that goes right back into my daycare. You know.
I understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
Okay, but 3,500 a month, that's a little less than 40,000 a year.
Yes. This year would be the first year that we filed, both of our businesses. So last year, Broderick was actually working part of the year. So that's what he filed, on the taxes. That's why it was just 10 for last year.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So last year. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you guys' monthly income is probably a more accurate reflection of
Yes.
you guys' expenses. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And would you agree that, well, let me not say would you agree, let me strike that. $600 or $700 is about 20% of that 3,500 a month, correct?
I would agree. Yes, I would agree that it is.
Okay. And did you know that the statutory guidelines in Texas for child support are 20% of someone's net resources, of a parent's net resources?
Yes.
Okay. So
I also know that they count.
Now responsive after yes.
Sustain.
So $350 a month that Mr. Gabriel agreed to is less than the statutory guidelines, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So in your opinion, is that reasonable?
Yes, that's very reasonable.
Okay. But to your knowledge, he hasn't paid Ms. Smith anything, even though he agreed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass this witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Gabriel, any other questions of Ms. Gabriel?
No.
All right, Ms. Gabriel, I've heard you testify about the income from 2020 being 10,000, and then the current your current income from your businesses being about 3,500 a month.
Yes.
What part of that is Mr. Gabriel's income? Is that all that is, or is that?
No, the whole thing isn't. To be honest, my husband assists. My business. It's with me, but he's like assists me in them. You know what I'm saying?
So does he get a set salary from your business, or is it just the whatever's left in the end of the month goes in the bank account and then y'all live off of that?
Correct.
Okay.
Like everything is in our account and stuff together. I don't have it where okay, after 35 you get 750 for you. We don't do that. We basically everything goes into an account. We pay all our bills, take care of the children in the house, and then that's just
I think I heard Mr. Gabriel say that you have 3 children, but does Mr. Gabriel have any other children other than Amari that you're aware of?
No.
Okay. All right, Ms. Childs, any additional questions after my questions of Ms. Gabriel?
No, Judge. I would like to reserve just a minute or two for a closing statement, but no.
Sure. Mr. Gabriel, any additional questions of Ms. Gabriel after my questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Gabriel, any other witnesses that you would like to call?
No, sir.
All right, respondent rest. All right, any rebuttal testimony, Ms. Childs, from the intervener?
No, it's fine.
All right, I have one question of Ms. Smith, and then I'll let y'all I'll let y'all ask any questions of her after mine, and then we'll do closings. Ms. Smith, is Amari currently covered on health insurance? And if so, who is that through? How is that provided?
It's provided through Medicaid, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. And you didn't have any problem getting her signed up on that?
Well, her mom had already had signed her up and they just transferred over, kept
Okay.
the Medicaid there because due to her legs and stuff.
And I'm assuming that you don't have health insurance available through work. Is that correct, Ms. Smith?
Correct.
And Mr. Gabriel, I've heard that you're self-employed. So do you not have health insurance available through your work either?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Ms. Smith or Mr. Gabriel after my questions, Ms. Childs?
No, Judge.
Mr. Gabriel, any additional questions after my questions of Ms. Smith?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to give each side, since each side is closed, I'm going to give each side an opportunity to give me a brief closing statement. This is just what you would like to see the court do. Ms. Childs, again, since you filed first or filed as the petitioner, you'll get to go first.
Thank you, Judge. Okay. As you've heard from the parties today, Ms. Smith has already been acting as the primary conservator of Amari. She is in no way trying to alienate Dad from Amari. I think that these parties have had a lot of emotions and a lot of difficulty parenting with Amelia's passing and just going forward. I think that a co-parenting course that both parties should take would benefit the family. I think even counseling would benefit both parties. I think that they both parties do love Amari, but I think it's in the child's best interest that they both be named joint managing conservators. I think it's in the child's best interest that Ms. Smith be named the primary conservator so that she can continue to care for Amari and so that she can continue to monitor her health. I think it's appropriate that Mr. Gabriel be awarded a standard possession order with the first, third, and fifth weekends. In no way were we trying to not allow him those weekends. It's just that there were some supervised visits that we wanted to see happen first so that she can get acclimated to being around her dad alone before she traveled to Beaumont overnight with her health condition. I think that it's very appropriate that the court award Ms. Smith a child support, monthly child support that the court deems reasonable. I understand that they're self-employed, but I do think that considering the amount of money that they testified that they make, that $350 or an amount nearby is reasonable for child support to be paid to Ms. Smith through the Office of the Attorney General. And lastly, Judge, as you can hear, they're not really, they're saying the same thing. They both basically want the same thing. And we were trying to get there months ago. We didn't want to see this seasoned woman, Ms. Smith, have to incur all of these attorney's fees just to pursue the thing they both want. So she's had to incur $3,600 in attorney's fees outside of what we could have finished in February. So we've been arguing for 6 months about the same thing. But so I really hope that the court takes that into consideration and orders Mr. Gabriel to pay some of Ms. Smith's attorney's fees that she's incurred prior to 5 or 6 formal and informal mediations being had to try to get to the point where we are today. Oh, and lastly, there's the one last thing. You've heard from both sides that there have been things said on social media and slanderous words being shared on both sides. I asked that the court place some sort of permanent injunctions in place, refraining the parties from using social media to discuss this litigation or to make disparaging remarks about each other, because it's not helpful for the child. She's going to grow up. She's going to be able to see that stuff one day. So I asked that the court grant some sort of permanent injunction so that they refrain from doing that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Childs. All right, Mr. Gabriel, if you would please unmute for me, and it's your turn to give me your closing statement. This is what you'd like to see the court do. So you may proceed.
Yes, sir. I don't want my child just on weekends. I'm a father. I'm not a daddy. I'm a father. I'm raising 3 kids. That's not even my home. So basically, can I please talk, Miss Barbara, without you jumping in? Like, I've been quiet this whole time.
Mr. Gabriel,
Still, he married them his kids.
I mean, it takes a village
That's
to raise
her
a child.
problem.
Hold on, let me talk. Let me talk.
It's not
Chill
even
out,
about if
chill
my
out, let me
husband is a good husband. They are just mad because you didn't marry Amelia, and that's wrong.
And I'm
Ms.
tired of
Gabriel,
that.
That is so wrong.
I'm tired of being
It's
hurt.
always just
I'm
me.
sorry. I'm
It's
sorry,
women in this
Judge. It's
situation.
only so much I'm going to allow them to do to disrespect my
Right.
client.
Okay, it's just me.
Hold on.
She
Hold
being
on.
hateful
That's
because
it.
she hates
Hey,
me.
hey.
I'm not paying
Enough.
no. I'm not paying no court.
Listen,
I'm not paying
everybody
no
stop talking for a second. Everybody stop talking for a second. I cannot take down 3 people yelling at the same time. I can't take down 2 people yelling at the same time. Right now, Mr. Gabriel has the floor, which means I muted Ms. Smith. If I could mute Ms. Gabriel, I would. Mr. Gabriel has the floor. Ms. Gabriel, you have no business talking now. You gave your time to testify, and that's done. So now Mr. Gabriel has the floor. He's going to tell the court what he'd like to have, and everybody else is going to be quiet. Mr. Gabriel, you may proceed.
I don't want to be a weekend father. Nobody I know is a weekend father. I have friends that don't do nothing for their children, and their baby mama drop their child off on their doorstep and just leave. Why can't I have that? I want some time in my child life. The weekends ain't nothing. They tried that with my daddy. And I say it, if I ever had a child, I was never just going to resort to the weekend with my daughter or my son. I'm not paying no court fees because, like I said, when Amelia passed away, I told Miss Barbara that I wasn't going to take her. I did not want to take Amari from her because, like me and my wife said, it takes a village to raise a child, not just 2 or 3 people. I'm the only one that is heartbroken and then been in tears almost the whole 2020 and 2021 years of my life. I've been hurting for this past 2 years. After Amelia passed away, I thought everything was gonna be okay. The way me and Miss Bobby was talking, everything was gonna be smooth sailing. Until now, it's all this court stuff and I gotta pay her court fee. I'm not paying nothing because, like I told her, I'm not trying to take Amari from you. I'm just trying to be her father. She just want me to be a weekend dad. Amelia's father wasn't a weekend daddy to her. So why should I be a weekend daddy to my child? What's gonna happen if she gets sick? Or her grandfather gets sick? Who's gonna take care of her then? Then they're gonna be looking for me. There's so many. It's only so long a time before somebody reaching out to me telling me that they need my help for something. So why just not let me do it now? I mean, you telling me you want me to be a dad, but you keeping her in Houston. You hindering her in Houston. She can't come to Beaumont. And I done told this woman plenty of times she could come to my house and she can see the house that I'm staying in. She can see that it's safe. I done told her that before she even tried this court thing. She told me no. I done had 3 cars and I done went to Houston. This woman has seen 3 cars that I have. And not once did she say that she was proud of me for the job, for what I was at least trying to do for Amari. They got men out here that don't care about their kids. I'm one of them that do. I will bend over backwards, so will my wife. Anybody that I deal with knows about my child. I carry my child's name with pride. I'm not violent. I don't have no criminal background. I'm not on no type of drugs. So what's wrong with me? That's my question to everybody. What's wrong with me? Because I want to be there, because I get a little aggravated when somebody tell me that I got to jump over hurdles for my child? Somebody that I created? Like, I don't understand that. Like, the system is so messed up that men that's good daddies want to take care of their child. We still have to pay for a weekend. And that's even if the people who our children are staying with allow them to even come to us. Because, like, I can pay child support. Like I did. I paid child support the whole time I was with Amelia. They had times where I went to Amelia's house and she didn't even answer the door. I had to call the police to get my child.
And like they say, these messages on Facebook, these messages came from them. The slander came from them. Nothing was said on my side. Now, my wife probably made a post about my mother, but she didn't say nothing about anybody at that home. But the people at that home told me out of their own mouth, I even heard them say it, that I was never going to be a part of my child's life. I was never going to see Amari. Now, if you're her grandmother, how you going to tell that to her father? And she didn't say that out of anger because she said it with a calm voice. How am I not supposed to be angry when somebody is telling me I can't see my child? The only child that I have. I only had 2 children. My first one passed away. I have everything for her. I have a bed for her, Christmas presents, toys, clothes, shoes, food, everything for her here. She's missing out on everything that I have for her because these vindictive people. I haven't done nothing wrong to these people. I haven't raised my hand in anger to them. I probably fussed and cussed with them, but I'm being a human. I'm standing up for myself because I know I'm not doing no wrong. Whatever you got, whatever beef you have with my wife and social media, that's between y'all. Don't hurt me in my childhood. That's another thing. They stay on social media. If every time I talk to Miss Barbara, she telling me something that my wife been posting on Facebook. Oh, y'all going here, y'all taking trips. Okay, what, we not supposed to live our life? I'm a 33-year-old woman. She asking me if I'm having threesomes with other women with my wife and all that. Why are you even worried about that? Me and my wife are a married couple. We don't do none of that stuff. I am stingy. I'm not sharing anybody. She asked me about my sex life. She asked me about what my wife posting on Facebook.
As to
I'm
narrative,
talking, ma'am.
Judge.
I gave you your time to talk. I gave you your time to talk.
Hold on, she's objecting. Hold on, Mr. Gabriel. She's objecting because the closing arguments are to sum up what was testified about and reasonable inferences from that. I didn't hear anything about sex questions in the testimony, so the objection to that.
Everything that was on Facebook, that's the thing. That's the hearsay that she tried to cut out off of Facebook.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't hearsay. It was coming straight out of the horse's mouth.
Okay, well, let's move to a new topic. I'm not finding that anybody's having any sex stuff going on.
I just want joint custody. I don't want to be a weekend father. They want me to have my child the 1st, 3rd, 5th. I don't want a weekend. I want a week. If she got Amari 2 weeks out of the month, I want her the other 2 weeks out of the month. If she got a doctor's appointment, whenever that doctor's appointment is scheduled, I could work around that. I have my own business. If I have to close my business to go to Houston and pick my child up, I would do that. If she has a doctor's appointment and she wants me to be there, I will be there. Like, I am not a little boy. I am a grown man. And that's what they need to realize. I'm not one of these little bull boys that's walking around making babies. I made one child and I'm trying to do right by her. But they're not letting me because she's in Houston. I'm in Beaumont. They don't want my wife around. They don't like my wife. That's the main concern. They don't like my wife. And I'm done. I mean, they can see whatever bad stuff they want to say about me now.
All right, hold on. That completes the testimony. The court's going to give its ruling, and we're going to set entry of this order for September the 3rd at 9 a.m. And what that means is everybody can appear back here at 9 a.m. on September the 3rd, unless I get a signed order prior to that date. The parties, Ms. Childs, you'll draft the order, but I can tell you, Mr. Gabriel and Ms. Smith, both of you may disagree with what I rule today. But if you get that order from Ms. Childs and it accurately says what my ruling was, then you can sign that. It doesn't mean you're agreeing with what I did. It just means that you're agreeing that's what Judge Bell did. If you don't agree and there's something different in that order, you don't get the order, we'll be back here on September the 3rd and I'll settle any of those disputes that we have over the order at that time. We're not going to reopen the case. This is going to be the court's final ruling. but I will settle any kind of issues that we have with the drafting of that order on September the 3rd. I'll say a couple things and I'll keep it brief because it's, I know it's lunchtime and y'all been going for a while, but I can tell you this, in 20 plus years of doing this, it's tough on kids just growing up in today's world. It just is. It's a difficult environment for a child to grow up in because they're bombarded with all kinds of social media stuff and all kinds of things. But it's even more difficult on a child to grow up when they've lost a parent and they've lost their mom. And so Amari's going to have difficulty because she's going to want a mom and she doesn't have a mom. And that's no fault of hers. It's no fault of anybody's, but that's just a fact. And I can tell you this, she will be a lot better off if both sides of her family, her mom's side of the family and her dad's side of the family, can coexist around each other. You don't have to be best friends. You don't have to hang out together, but there will be times in Amari's life where both sets of grandparents are going to be there. Dad's going to be there. Dad's wife's going to be there. And you need to be able to be in that environment without Amari getting put in the middle and knowing that her dad hates her grandmother hates her dad. And I'm not saying y'all hate each other, but there's certainly conflict there. And that child will pick up on that conflict. And here's the problem for the child. The child loves her daddy very much and always will. The child loves her grandmother very much and always will. And if she's around the two of you and one of them's talking bad about the other one, that's going to hurt her because she loves that person that you're talking bad about. So I don't want that happening around this child because I'm telling you, it's tough enough for a child to grow up in today's world and she doesn't need to be exposed to that. She's got enough that she's going to be struggling with just in life itself. And everybody can agree that they love her. I can tell that. Ms. Smith, I know you love her to death. And Mr. Gabriel, I know you love her to death. And I get that. But if you love her the way you tell me you love her, you'll bite your tongue when you want to say something negative about the other side. And you'll swallow your pride when you're around that person and you won't let Amari let on to the fact that there's been any conflict between the families. Y'all need to bury whatever you need to bury for Amari's sake. And that needs to happen. And I hope you listen to me and you're able to do that. The other thing is this. This is going to be a court order, and I expect the court order to be followed. If Dad goes to pick up Amari, he needs to be able to get Amari. If he doesn't get Amari, this court's going to be very upset, Ms. Smith, and there'll be consequences for that. Everybody needs to follow these orders. Mr. Gabriel, that goes for you too. And the last thing I'm going to say is this. Mr. Gabriel, you have been absent at some point during Amari's life a little bit, and I'm not faulting you for that. Sounds like it was conflict between you and Amari's mom, maybe. But I do recognize you're the dad, and there's a strong presumption in my mind and in the law that a child should be with a parent. So if the parent is a good parent, that's kind of where the child should be. But I also have to, as a judge, I want to protect a child and make sure that what the child's used to is followed as well. And I have a child that has medical issues, that has apparently club feet's been in casts, been in braces, and grandmother's taking care of her. And Mr. Gabriel, when you first started testifying, you said, look, I think it's best for Ms. Smith to continue to do that. And I can tell you, based on your testimony and the way things stand right now, that's how I feel. I want two things. I want her coming to Beaumont and spending time in your house, Mr. Gabriel, and letting you be able to have relaxed visitation without somebody interrogating you or just being in the same room as you, so that you can do whatever you want to do with Amari and build that relationship. Because this is an order that can be modified later on. And if you exercise your visitation regularly and you continue doing kind of what I'm hoping that you do, then there may be a time that I decide to transition her primarily in Beaumont. I'm not saying I'm doing that, but I'm just telling you that's a step but we're not going to make that step yet. The court's ruling is as follows, that both the grandmother, Ms. Smith, and the dad are appointed joint custody, joint managing conservators of this little girl. And I find all these rulings to be in the best interest of Amari. The intervener, Ms. Smith, is going to have the right to determine Amari's residence, and she's going to have the right to exclusive right to determine the residence and to receive child support. Ms. Smith is also going to have the exclusive right after she consults with dad. She has to consult with dad before making these three decisions for any educational daycare decisions, invasive medical decisions, or psychological decisions. The marriage and enlistment will require the joint agreement of dad and Ms. Smith. And all other rights are going to be shared equally between dad and Mrs. Smith. They'll be independent rights. Father is awarded a standard possession order. That'll be the first, third, and fifth weekends of each month. A pickup and drop off will be at Ms. Smith's residence. And that will be 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. So Mr. Gabriel, what I want you to do is you're going to get your visitation in Beaumont, and you're going to be able to have Amari at your house. And we're going to see how that goes. And it may be, like I said, it may be that goes great. And I hope it does, but I want to make sure that you're going to exercise this visitation regularly. In addition to that visitation, dad is going to have the Mondays and Wednesdays of each week between 6 and 7 p.m. He will have either FaceTime access or telephone access with Amari. Ms. Smith, what that means is on Mondays and Wednesdays between 6 and 7, you need to have Amari available for her to have some telephone access or FaceTime access with her dad. Now, I don't expect a 2-year-old to be on the phone for an hour. That's not what I mean. I just mean that during that 1 hour, he's allowed to call and spend a reasonable period of time on the phone. A reasonable period of time with a 2-year-old may be 3 minutes because they're not going to have a real long, 5-year-old, close to 5-year-old, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but it's not going to be a full hour. They're just not going to be able to stay on the phone that long. But that being said, I want there to be some telephone access or video access, video conferencing kind of access through FaceTime or some other program similar to that on Mondays and Wednesdays. Mr. Gabriel, that doesn't mean you can't call her on Tuesdays, on Thursdays, on other days of the week. You can call her anytime you want. She may or may not be available on those days, but I'm ordering Ms. Smith to make her available during these 2 nights of each week so that you have some additional time to talk to your daughter, since there's a big distance between you and your daughter. Child support. The court orders child support in every case. There's a presumption of that in every case, and the court is going to follow that. I do find that based on Ms. Gabriel's testimony, it should be higher than what the testimony was, but both sides, it seems like, tend to agreed on a number that they thought was reasonable, and that is lower than what the law says should be paid. The court's going to order child support of $325 per month, and that is going to begin on September the 1st, and it'll continue on the 1st of each month thereafter. So that's the order of the court as far as child support. In addition, Ms. Smith is to continue insuring the child on Medicaid, and Mr. Gabriel will be ordered to pay $25 per month in cash medical support for that insurance, and that will begin on 9/1 of 21. So the total amount he's paying is $350 a month, $25 for health insurance, and $325 in child support. Any uninsured medical expenses, which there shouldn't be based on Medicaid, but if there's any uninsured medical expenses, those are to be paid 50% by Ms. Smith and 50% by Mr. Gabriel. The request for injunctions is denied, but I can tell you this: Mr. Gabriel and Ms. Smith, stop posting about each other on social media or letting anybody that you care about do that. It's not healthy. I'm not going to micromanage y'all right now. I'm going to assume that y'all are going to do what's best for Amari. And then if someone's not behaving and I need to get more involved in y'all's lives and do that kind of stuff, I will. But all of you, everybody has a First Amendment right to post on social media. And I'm not going to interfere with that right unless y'all start continuing this stuff. And my hope is after today, now that we don't have the conflict of litigation being involved, that maybe everybody will calm down and stop that. Because Miss Childs is right. That's not good for Amari. And those things can be screenshot and last forever. And you just don't want to do that. So each side behave themselves on their posting. Don't post anything negative about the other side, and don't post about this litigation. If you want to talk badly about somebody, you can call them up, go to dinner with them and talk to them in person without Amari being around, but don't put it on social media and don't expose Amari to it. Finally, the court is going to award a portion of these attorney's fees. The court's going to award attorney's fees judgment in favor of Ms. Smith in the sum of $2,500. That will collect interest at the maximum amount allowed by law until it's paid in full. And that completes the ruling of this court. Mr. Gabriel, I know this is not exactly what you wanted, but I do not find that you're a bad individual. I think you're a great dad. Well, I think you have the potential to be a great dad based on your testimony that you've given me. I just want you to prove that to me. And by following this order, you'll do that. If you don't follow this order, then you're going to prove me wrong. But I really do feel like you have the potential to be a great dad. And I can tell you, there's so many cases that come in front of me where I don't have a dad that's involved. I have a dad that doesn't care, a dad that doesn't do anything. And it's a blessing for this child that she's lost her mom, that she has a dad in her life. So I want you to continue to step up and do what you're telling me you're going to do, because Amari will benefit from that, because there's a big void in her life right now, not having a mom. And it'll help that void by her dad being involved and loving on her and spending time with her and knowing that she's a little cherished angel and that you cherish your time with her. That will do wonders for that girl. And Ms. Smith, I want you to hear that. I want dad to be a big part of this child's life. That's what's best for your granddaughter. And I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine having to go through what you've been through, losing a child. But, and I understand that there's been conflict between you and Mr. Gabriel, but I really, for Amari's sake, pray that y'all can put that behind you and that y'all can start just focusing on what's best for her. And that is both of you loving her and both of you being a big part of her life. That completes the ruling of this court. We're going off the record. Y'all are.
I have one question about
Yes,
it, Judge. Would the child support be paid through the SDU?
It will be, and it'll be an income withholding order is authorized. I know he's self-employed, but income withholding order is also authorized. But that's correct. It'll be paid through the child support office.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
You excused.